Good afternoon, everyone. My apologies for the delay, as well as I did wanted to have some more panelists as well. With the inclement weather, unfortunately, they couldn't get in time. But just also, too, I don't know, sir, if the press is related. We're obviously with the freedom movement, and one thing in particular, if I was to have, say, maybe a red maple leaf on and freedom across that, I would not be able to enter the building. So that's just a note, and it does cause quite a bit of delays for freedom fighters, for example, if they wanted to just simply come in and watch Parliament. But really why I'm here is we're all well aware of the ruling by Justice Mosley in relation to the Emergency Act, which was called upon by the Trudeau government. Now, it was quite stated that it was unjustified and unconstitutional. Now, being amongst the freedom movement, obviously people ask and they say that was a great victory. You guys must be happy for this. But I must say, no, it's a hollow victory for us. And it's a hollow victory for us because of what had occurred. People's lives have been disrupted, maybe changed forever. Charges, loss of income, loss of jobs, all for their right to fight for the freedoms that we have in this country. However, it did note one important thing, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to be here to address this. It exposed this ruling, exposed the lies, falsehood, and myths, truths that accompanied 2 years ago while we were here in Ottawa protesting. Everything from breaking into stores to arson. It was all proven that it never happened. They were all falsehoods. Many MPs stated these were concerns, stated that somehow people practicing their rights under our charter and under our freedom of rights was some sort of a threat to this country. And many MPs on the Liberal side perpetuated these lies. We have still not had an apology for those lies from any MP in the government. I do not want to speak for groups within the freedom movement that have started litigation processes, but there are litigation processes underway right now. So I won't speak any further to that, but there has. Ideally, an apology from the government would help in some matter. But what happened was, and what is extremely disturbing on a historical presence, I believe Canada itself changed very dramatically on that last day, 2 years ago on the 17th. Because what had occurred is we had our ruling government weaponize police officers, weaponize the establishment, and weaponize the justice system against its own people. Now, these were people that our Prime Minister labeled many words, called them a threat, said we couldn't go on trains, said we couldn't fly, all because we challenged and we wanted, basically, our own health. We weren't willing to take something that was really experimental. And the evidence that has come up, although it's being pushed down, will eventually prove to that point that we were correct. But really, I really want to stick to the message that our police were weaponized, our justice system were weaponized against our people. And historically, that has not done very well for companies when a leader against a group he disagrees with in a country uses violence to suppress them. Is a very slippery slope. Now, I do also want to salute to all those that were involved in the original convoy for their bravery and their foresight. That foresight, they realized what is happening. They realize that we have a government in place that is really ideologically driven. They do have I will use this word tyranny because I believe someone in the media said that our main goal right now is to fight tyranny. But if tyranny is, and quite simple, there's several bills that are going to restrict freedom of speech in this country. We have people in Parliament wanting just simply a law in place that anyone that supports our oil industry to be in jail for 2 years. That this is the type of ideological thinking that's causing extreme divisions in this country. I can't remember in our history, and other besides the senior, where the government has basically waged war on one of the provinces in this country without negotiation. And it has been shown that there is negotiation. Leaders should be pragmatic. We don't have anything from this government stating that they're going to be any sort of have any sort of pragmatism towards any opposing views in this country, regardless whether it infringes upon our rights as well. So, again, across this country, there will be many events. These are not celebrations, but more for remembrance of what occurred on the 17th. There's several events in the city, in the province, and across the country, one of which is in Ottawa. So I'm going to have my colleague Dacey just kind of describe what's happening tomorrow, give his thoughts on the original convoy as well, and then I will move into some other matters afterwards.
Yeah. Hey, Chris Dacey. So I was at the original convoy the entire time. I'm a resident of Ottawa. I've lived in Ottawa my whole life. And I've been here, I guess, pretty much around the hill, or part of the group that's been come to known as the Wellington Street Regulars. I've been here for the whole time since. So anywho, this weekend we're planning I guess a commemoration is probably the best way to put it. We didn't choose the weekend and the date by accident. This is the time that the Emergency Act was invoked, and I was there, and a lot of us were present for the brutal clear out here in Ottawa. So we're going to remember that. We're going to get together and network, and we've got some fun stuff planned as well. So we're going to have speakers. We're going to have a march around town. That's all been coordinated with the Ottawa Police, so everything should go off without a hitch, I'm hoping. And we're going to have music, speakers, and just try to have an all-around good time. So it's important that we remember what happened with the Emergencies Act, but we also want to remember the hope and the love and all the good things that came with the convoy as well. So that's what we have planned for the weekend. Good. Yep.
Yeah. So just one other section that I did want to promise is what's going to be the future of the freedom movement as it is. And there's some new voices. But first, I just kind of wanted to stress again that original convoy, the freedom movement, and it's been so much misconstrued throughout the media and just throughout the general public. We are a very peaceful movement. We believe in no violence at all. We are a mix of all Canadians, Canadians that were born here, Canadians that have fled other countries. Just in my small little group alone, we speak 6 languages. I have people that were born in different countries that have come here to Canada, that have seen and what's happening in terms of the loss of and the threats of our freedoms. Going back to how I want to preference this by, is again to congratulate those that started the original convoy, to illustrate this to the general public. But where we are right now, and this, I'm truly reaching out to the general public, regardless of who you are, where you're from, that the freedom movement is actually for yourselves. We are in a very difficult time in this country. I don't believe Canada has ever been in worse economic conditions that we have right now. We have a laundry list of corruption, alleged theft, alleged billions missing. The list goes on and on. Inquiries canceled, non-cooperation in inquiries. The list goes on and on. So as a people, there's no accountability. Good governance and ethics has certainly left this government as it stands right now. There's none of it. Good governance and ethics are are part of their description, and none of it I see at all. Basically, secrets. There's some secrets in the government are repugnant. There should not be any. We have no accountability, and this is why I'm reaching out to our people of this country. There's many things still ahead. As I mentioned, censorship bills. The signing with the World Health Organization of the pandemic treaty, which gives our health sovereignty away. There's been no discussion on this. It has to be researched. This is forthcoming pending. Our Prime Minister also wanted to add climate change into a health. Where's the rationale? Where's the science? Where is anything to relate that? We obviously, in terms of initiatives, there's many of us within the freedom movement, some of them which will be here today to present them. I will forward them off to you, their initiatives. But most of the initiatives are, even from a municipal level, people getting engaged. How are we going to operate? How are we going to have responsible government? The government right now has basically lost the reasoning that they actually work for us. This building that we're in is ours. The parliament that they're in is ours. They're supposed to listen to us. They do not listen to us. They're staying focused on their own ideology and putting that through. Because of that, going into a new election, of course there's going to be a swing as it looks, but this is an excellent opportunity for us to reach out to the general public, for all our citizens, to realize and to make sure that this corruption, this unaccountability in government doesn't exist. So how do we go about that? Well, there's several options. There's several things within the movement in which we need our citizens to come work with us on. Basically, ideally, the Senate that we have, we need an independent Senate, an electable Senate. We have to have revisions of the Privy Council. We may also have to have revisions of the Crown. Do we still want to have a Crown system? Do we still want to have a parliamentary-based democracy, in which we have right now, if this is what results in a government so corrupt and so dysfunctional as we have now? So like I said, I will forward those initiatives that we have in the group. There's many groups, and I'm passionately reaching out to the general community. We are not thugs. We are not terrorists. We are not racist, as we're coined in many places. We are you. We come from several walks of life. We have everything from welders to truck drivers to cooks to actually members of police enforcement to members of the judiciary to politicians as well. So we are not a radical fringe or anything like that. We are free citizens. We are free citizens that have seen the change in our government over the last year, realize where it's heading, and that our freedoms are threatened. And that's it. So I will, again, I'd mentioned there are several initiatives from some of the panelists that were going to be here today. I will make sure that I reveal them going forward. And any questions from the media as it stands now?
Could you just tell us a little bit more about what's planned this weekend, like specifically when?
Yeah. So tomorrow, Saturday the 17th, starting at 11 a.m., there's a permit issued on Parliament Hill. So most of our activities will be on Parliament Hill. That begins at 11. There's some music. We're hoping to have speeches around probably noon. And then the planned march is at 2 p.m. So we've been working with Ottawa Police to figure out a route for that. There are some other things going on in the city. It's the final weekend of Winterlude this weekend, and there's also some other planned protests. So the parade or the march route isn't exactly finalized yet, but we're working with Ottawa Police to make sure that that's going to go off okay. And then we're back to the Hill after the march till about 5 o'clock probably.
What can you tell us? What can you tell us about speakers, Dacey?
I don't want to put out a list of speakers just yet. We're still waiting on a few confirmations, but there should be quite a few. And some of the people will be the people that are doing different initiatives. So there's people that are working in their local communities and doing different things to attack this problem that we're all facing. And many of those people will be speaking. And then there'll probably be time for an open mic too, and to meet some people afterwards if people are so inclined.
Are you expecting to have a lot of people? And if you speak French, if you can answer in French.
I do speak a little.
We can go with English.
Yeah, English is a little easier for me. It's hard to put a number on these things. I wouldn't say it's going to be in the many thousands, but if there's a few hundred, that wouldn't surprise me.
What can you tell us about the people you're expecting from out of town, and can you address the notion of whether or not this is a vehicle-based protest?
Yeah, okay. So, there was some messaging that came out earlier today, I believe, CPC maybe. No, there's not expected to be any kind of vehicle protest of any sort. There are a group of people coming from Southern Ontario that will be traveling together, and they've collected some donations for a local church. So they'll be coming into town together, dropping off those donations to Capital City Bikers Church. They run a free store out of there that does a lot of work in the Vanier community. It's a community that really struggles and needs a lot of support. So the people that are coming in with vehicles are going to bring those donations to the church, and then everyone will just make their way downtown on their own. But not expecting any kind of vehicle or stuff like that, a vehicle-related protest of any sort.
We'll now take questions from Zoom. If you have a question, please use raise hand function. Sio Lili, you have the floor. One question, one follow-up.
Hi, this is Shaoli Lee from City News. This is for the first speaker, the gentleman in the headband. I apologize if I missed this, but can we get your name and how it's spelled?
Yes, it's D-E-R-E-K.
Oh, sorry, your full name.
Yeah, D-E-R-E-K-N-O-O-N-A-N.
Thank you very much for that. And as a follow-up, relating to Saturday's protest,
Yes.
have you gotten any clearance from police or any coordination with police in relation to the use of loudspeakers or horns? Because I know that was an issue 2 years ago, and it has been an issue with more recent Palestinian protests in Ottawa.
Well,
I can speak to
you
that
can
a
speak
little
to
bit.
that. You have a
Yeah,
little bit
so as far as with the city of Ottawa, there is a general rule that no amplification devices are allowed. We've been kind of sticking to that rule as much as possible. Our event is going to be on Parliament Hill, where we do have a permit. So we have a permit to use amplification equipment, sound equipment, that sort of thing on Parliament Hill. As far as off Parliament Hill, I think the general rule should apply. No megaphones, no amplification devices, but you'd have to check with bylaw and Ottawa Police to be certain on that.
Sorry, can I do what's your message to Ottawa residents who don't like the convoy?
I mean, I would recommend that they come out and try to talk to some of the people that are going to be around. We don't bite. We're happy to talk. And like Derek said, we're trying to reach out and talk to as many Canadians as possible. Mm-hmm. So if people have concerns, come talk to someone. I think that's the best way to start.
And you said you want to reach the general public. How do you plan on doing that?
Well, starting with this, I guess.
Definitely, there are several things we like to reach out to the general public is their understanding of the issues that are within the government in terms of the alleged corruption, the alleged theft. Are they happy with the way government is behaving? There's no accountability, no disclosure of actually what's occurring on several matters. And the biggest thing is 65% of this country has less than $500 left over at the end of the month. Now, the government that's in play right now has basically come out and said that they're for the middle class. So if they're for the middle class, I ask the general public, having less than $500 left over at the end of the month, is that a government for you? Is it a government for you that has more increased taxes on April 1st? Is this a government for you in which they're proceeding with censorship bills that are down lead? Is this a government for you that priorities are constantly shifting? Do I see any priorities for housing veterans? Do I see any priorities for fixing the housing on First Nations? We're still waiting after 8 years for clean water on First Nations lands. So these are types of things that we talk about. The poverty, how are our children being educated in school? These are several issues that we want to reach out to the community on. And I know there's concerns. The poverty is increasing. Homelessness is increasing. You're seeing in, like, the small town of Brockville, on one day, 12 people died from overdoses within 2 hours from fentanyl. Is that the country? I'm asking the citizens, is this the country you want to live in? Is it? Where you can't trust the government? Where we're seeing theft, we can't get answers to past corruption? There's taxes and taxes in our future. Is this what we want to live in? Do we want to live in this division as well? Do we want to live in a country where one province is somehow wrong? The one province that has fed this whole nation for quite some time, we can't negotiate? Do we want to live in a country where arbitrarily a minister comes out and says, I'm not making roads anymore? When we need roads to First Nations in the north, at least, when we have crumbling infrastructure in our cities now, all in the name of ideology, all unproven. So these are the things I'm reaching out to the general public. I know they're feeling the same thing. And it will take collectively all of us to change it. It will take collectively all of us to make the government aware that they're accountable to us. They don't rule us. They're accountable to us. So these are the types of things that we love to speak to any citizen on.
Have you received or are you expecting to receive any support from MPs?
I can answer that. Yes, so there has been several MPs that have spoken out harshly on the use of the Emergency Act. That it really, according to Justice Mosley, there really wasn't any basis for it at all. So I do appreciate those MPs speaking out on that. I'm hoping that they will be in attendance tomorrow as well.
Are you expecting them to be?
I did give some overtures. We'll see if they come.
What parties?
Primarily the Conservative Party's been the only party that has come out against the use of the Emergency Act. Me personally, I won't mention their names, but I have had some very good conversations with members of the NDP and the Liberals that do see what I just said, but they can't control the directions of their parties as well. So hopefully they'll be there too.
We'll go to Zoom again. Annie Bergeron, one question, one follow-up. Annie, are you there?
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, there we go. You talked about wanting an apology. I'm wondering who specifically is kind of the most important. Is it the Prime Minister? Is it other members of Cabinet? And following up on that last question, have you had any conversations while you were on Parliament Hill? Why did you choose Parliament Hill today for this press conference?
Okay, I'll kind of answer that backwards. Why I chose this day for the press conference in Parliament Hill is because we will be remembering what occurred on the 17th, just on Parliament Hill tomorrow. So that was appropriate. I have spoken to some MPs in regards to this. In terms of an apology, ideally I would like an apology from the all parties that had voted in favor of the Emergency Act. That includes Mr. Singh and the NDP. That also includes Justin Trudeau. Krista Freeland definitely owes a significant apology, especially to those that have suffered freezing of their bank accounts and the repercussions after that. I actually would hope that she would apologize to each person individually for doing that. Now, there's Justice Lametti. There's also Minister Mandicino. An apology for obviously voting in favor of the Emergency Act. I'm hoping these comments were in jest or comical on their part, but of bringing in tanks to remove people with tanks, our own military, resembling what a third world nation would do. So yes, those are the apologies that I would like to hear.
And just following up, at the very beginning, you talked about how if you were wearing a Canadian flag or something about oil and gas, it would be hard to get into Parliament today. I'm wondering why you chose a press conference inside Parliament instead of something outside where the protest had been. Was there an MP who had sponsored or invited you to bring the conference here? Is that part of the reason?
No, it was an initiative up on myself. And you sort of answered the question within the question is the reason why I'm here in Parliament is this is where the decisions of the country are made. We had a decision that was lawfully and unconstitutionally made upon us, and I'm coming here to address it. Throughout the last 2 years, I've been at many rallies, many of my colleagues have. We've tried to have conversations with the establishment or the legacy press. They have been ignored largely for just the issues that I've brought up today. So that is why I'm here.
Do we have more questions? This concludes the press conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.